So in addition to taking specific viewer deck lists, I also take what I call build around submissions, where someone submits a base idea and then I fill in the details. This was a build around submission for Twisted Fate here, a champion that just good staple champion in the game. Obviously it headlines the best deck in the current format, but generates good value. When you play this, you play a Destiny card, so he either draws you a card, hits your opponent's board, or deals 2 damage and stuns, their biggest thing. And notably, he levels based on seeing you draw cards. So the build around submission for this deck was pairing Twisted Fate with the new landmark that we have here in Hexcore Foundry. Round start, all players draw an additional card, so Hexcore Foundry can help our Twisted Fates level up very quickly. And then, as is often the case when deck building, my goal is to try and make Hexacore Foundry a reasonable card for us, even when we don't draw Twisted Fate. So the natural direction to go in with that is to pair it with kind of the mushroom package. So we've got Teemo here to plant Puff Caps in our opponent's deck. And Puff Caps, for those not familiar, are these pesky trap cards that attach to your opponent's cards and deal damage when they draw them. So we've got kind of this Teemo Chump Wump Mushroom backup plan, along with a bunch of burn here. So Mystic Shot and Get Excited are great tools that can help us keep control of the board early, while also being cards that blast our opponent's dome late once we get them a little bit low. One card I've notably chosen to omit from this deck is I'm not currently playing Puff Cap Peddler, which that might be wrong. Looking at this and thinking about what it's doing. Should we fit some Puff Cap Peddlers in here? I don't have that many 3s. And Get Excited is a spell mana card. I think not having Peddler is probably wrong. Let's trim around the edges here and fit some Peddlers in. Feel like I want to cut a 3 here. I'm gonna split Sump Dredger and Zonite Urchin 2 and 2 for curve purposes. 11 and 11. All right, let's dive on in here. I'm gonna throw that small update on Mobalytics, and let's play some games. All right, Zoe Draven. So this is an aggro deck. So I'm going to be mulliganing everything except my hired gun here, looking for other cheap cards, things like Zonite Urchin, Jury Rig, Mystic Shots, Get Excited, those types of things allow me to play to the board quickly and early. This seems very reasonable here. I already have a 4th deck prep for today, Lampton. So if we do another deck, we're gonna play Discard Peaks. So I'm prepping 4 decks per day in advance. Okay, and this is their turn 1. Since we're attacking on odds, this is decent for us. I get to go ahead and Mystic Shot to murder her.
You make everything more fun.
Hey, Genova Witness, thank you for the tip. I really appreciate the support. I think I want to get Ballistic Bot going here, because I can bank this spell mana very nicely. For Unkillable Kegs, build around. Sounds good. Get that into the deck queue. The Startled Stomper is quite adorable. You're not wrong. on. That one's got to go before they can open attacks. Goodbye.
Can you improve perfection?
Fibasu, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Speaking of the queue, for anybody that's new to the channel, like Fibasu there, if you're ever wondering what decks are going to be coming up on stream later this week or later in the day, the stream queue can be found on my website. Usually play the decks from the top down. I think we're playing Puffcat Peddler here is just a 3-3. This is a card we're not going to generate a lot of value out of early. I just want to use it as a meaningful blocker. So I'm going to go ahead and... I think I Ignition here, so this way this can block here and this can block here, and then we take 4 over here. If they want a Spinning Axe to have this trade with my Peddler, I think that's a good exchange for me.
Let's do this.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
Not a meddler. Like I said, I think this exchange is good for us overall. Keeping our life total nice and high. This is definitely a matchup where we want to avoid playing this card until much later. Honestly, this turn, we're probably hired gunning Draven here, and then ignitioning and trading this here, right?
I stand for Noxus.
I gotta work with this joker.
Rise, noble brethren.
How about if we... They don't have any gems in hand at the moment. I'm gonna hired gun this and attack in here, and then we can kill this with Mystic Shot before it hits us for any damage next turn. Which is nice. Our deck does not have any healing in it with these regions, so it's pretty important that I keep my life total high to start so we can try and avoid getting burned out.
Hold ready to reckon.
Alright, so I'm going to do this. They're going to attack with everything. We'll Jury Rig block this. This will block this. They'll Spinning Axe trade. Holy crap, that's a blowout. That's brutal. That's honestly probably lethal. Well, we were doing okay until they had those two as their last couple of cards. Could maybe beat survival skills, could maybe beat second crowd favorite. Definitely not beating both. Yeah, the little green line over the toughness is a little bit subtle. I definitely agree that that could stand to be a little bit more in your face. I don't think that would necessarily be a bad change if they did that. Victor Sajani, you have my attention. I'm listening. I'm gonna keep the rummage with the ballistic bot, and this is perfect, right? So, like, I get to rummage the ignition plus the jury rig here.
Witness perfection. Meat bags.
Meat bags.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now.
Look at me now.
Save
With the get excited in hand, I don't really have a reason to try and push into here. Oh, you know what? That's wrong. I should probably discard this and hold the jury rig. Hello, oldest son. So many new Christmas toys, and we choose to play with cardboard tubes. I love you, you're great. I love you, you're great. Show them your cardboard tubes, they're really cool.
This would be a good winter.
You are a ninja, I agree. You're great, Jake. Ooh. Maybe we just ignition here, actually. Let's just do that.
Rise, metal brethren,
Can his other toys be used to hit things? Asking the real questions.
and ready.
I think I need to just try and kill this before it can make their top of their deck too large.
An auspicious season. Feathers. We see through all.
System upgrade. Fire till nothing moves. Primed and ready. I am the future.
Alright, so easy block here. Try and hit this with this to finish it.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Yeah, maybe that's wrong. Maybe, I guess he wasn't playing around a freeze out of the Freljord deck, but they're playing a bit of a brew, so like the range of what they could have there is pretty wide.
Daddy, daddy, daddy.
Join the glorious evolution. The flashbacks will bow, great maker. Can you
Yes, Jacob.
perfection?
You wanna play more Mario? I'll allow it. Hey. Give me the tube, please. Thank you. Okay, you need to go out of my office if you're gonna play, okay?
An auspicious season. Who goes there?
Disengage.
You copied spells, count as created spells. Yep.
Stars.
Euphoria, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon.
And ready.
Elusive Victor's real scary. He's gonna kill us pretty quick.
Safety. Disengage.
They said I can be whoever I want.
You already are, and so much more.
I'm already through 2 Get Excited. I think I just have to spike the third one here, right? If this gets to attack and have the keywords of this, I'm just in a lot of trouble. I gotta hope to high roll it. Yeah. Too many Starlit Seers on the dance floor. I think Starlit Seers should be back being a 2/2. Yeah, I think it's probably fine. The opponent's archetype is far from overbearing. Alright, we don't have Hush, but like, I have a ton of cheap interaction in my deck, so maybe this matchup's okay. Second Rummage is kind of whatever. Might discard it to the first one. Along with an Ignition here. You mean play rate statistics, I assume is what you're trying to type? You can find all that up on Mobalytics.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now.
Look at me now. Honestly, it might be right to just get excited, Zoe, here.
Portal me something cool.
Evolve or die. System upgrade.
Have a good one, K-Vel. They could have Sharp Sight plus Chain Vest there to save her. It's a pretty specific one, too.
3, 4.
Hut, 2, 3, 4.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
Zoe makes the rules. Well, that's just rude. I mean, I think it's fine for cards to be good, Pill. Like, not even just talking about the opponent's specific deck, but just in general, Seer's not a card that's overbearing. Like, there's this weird tension in games like Runeterra because they can digitally balance them, where I feel like people think if a card is playable, it's too good a lot of the time. And that's just, like, really couldn't be further from the truth.
Fly too if I had wings.
Have a mushroom.
Have 3.
I've heard about you.
Yeah, the fact that they silenced this bot was just so good against our hand. Really wish I would have kept that salvage in the opener with all these rummages we've drawn now.
Shift time.
Maybe I should have tried to clap Zoe there.
On without me.
I think we just rummage these rummages away at this point. I'm gonna pass and wait and see. If they just want to burn mana, I think that's fine with me.
Nebula.
I should have done this last turn. Denied them the ability to get the star chart. Or attempt to anyways. Bastion. Okay, would have gotten Bastion out of it. Fair.
There they go.
Still get some mushrooms. Oh, chat.
What's in here? Porting in.
I honestly might be right to rummage this away here. Salvage, finally. Get to use some of our mana. Perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
Then I'm pretty sure we're just stacking their deck full of puff caps at this point.
Pay debt.
Definitely can't attack Teemo, and Teemo's actually probably going to get thrown under a Zoe-shaped bus this game, I imagine. It's going to be Puffcat Peddler trying to, Time to make colors!
Strength and grace, beauty in the blade.
So far this one's feeling like a bit of a stinker, chat. Alright, Spider Bird. Definitely keeping our cheap cards here. Gonna mulligan these, looking for some other cheap plays. Hexacore Founder's really not what we're looking for. Puffcat Peddler's fine. Like 3 for 3 is an okay right here. Jen Ryan, thanks for the 23 months. Welcome back. Probably Zonite Urchining the Hexacore Foundry on one, I imagine. Don't really want to give the aggro deck with the low curve a bunch of extra cards. They will murder us with them. Fearsome is tough. It's okay if you get stuck, but you should try Mario Odyssey. I like Mario Odyssey better. These older Mario games are very hard. I think I'm Mystic Shotting this turn so we can Puffcat Peddler next turn. Which older Mario game? All of them. All of the older Mario games are pretty difficult. Think, even though it would be nice to be able to get puff caps with this, I think again I just want to prioritize keeping my life total high here and play this Mystic Shot inside of combat. Yeah, one of the important things to note about older video games is older video games generated higher playtimes by being tedious and difficult.
System upgrade.
Swiftly.
This is probably just Urchin into Peddler for the turn. I know this is only 1 point of damage, but honestly, even 1 point of damage here not going to our dome is a win. Yeah, a lot of older games did things similar to, like, what Metroidvania and other games of those type do. Okay, well now we're just doing this and killing the thing, where they make you rerun through the same points over and over again when you fail, wasting your time that way. They play a fearsome thing out here. We'll get to play Puffcat Peddler. Yeah, I don't mind, you know, my actual I don't mind games that are difficult. I just don't like when games punish you for failure. Like, if I mess up fighting a boss and don't understand the play patterns, like, just have me start before that boss again. Don't make me rerun the entirety of that level through from the beginning. Honestly, I probably should have just taken the pass there. I think it was a mistake that I did, and I'm going to take 3 extra damage now. Yeah, what was it? I think it was Spider-Man Miles Morales the newest Spider-Man game literally had save points inside of the boss fights. So like if you failed on like stage 2 or 3 of their boss fight, it reloaded you at the start of that stage, which was just chef's kiss excellent.
System upgrade.
There was a little fella asking for me.
Yes, munching quarters with cheap deaths was also a real thing, for sure.
They grow up so fast.
Don't pay attention.
Taking a break is good. It's okay. Calm, take a deep breath. Go watch a show for something for a bit. TQH, thanks for the follow. Would you like to murder my Twisted Fate? Oh, this is so good for us. What was it? Christy and I were playing Mario Party last night with the kids. And we were playing teams, Christy and Jake versus me and Declan. And I was intentionally throwing parts of the game so that way we could balance out the kids getting to win and lose a little bit. Teaching them to win and lose gracefully is one of our goals for sure. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for being here, a part of it. Can we definitely just red card here and kill this fearsome? Now, the question is, are we going to be able to close this game out before they kill us? We might be able to, honestly. With this ignition, get excited and, like, double jury rig here, pumping some mushrooms into them. Yeah, that happens.
Something for all.
Yes, the Dark Soul style gameplay appeals to a very specific type of person. And you know who you are, and I won't kink shame here on this channel, but I just want you to know that enjoying Dark Souls' gameplay is definitely a kink. It is, and thank you. Listen, some people just want to be punished, and that's okay. You know who you are, and I'm not, whatever you're into. I'm not as vanilla as I thought. You learn something new about yourself every day.
Success gets noticed around here.
I will not apologize for my love-hate relationship with Bloodborne.
Watch them die.
We're gonna try some Bloodborne on stream at some point. Probably not till February at this point. It's gonna be a hot second, but we're gonna get to it eventually. I'm told the save points in the feedback I've had from people that have played it have said that, what's it called? Well, we're gonna play God of War. God of War is above that one in the queue. Alright, so if we can dodge lethal next turn, we have a really solid open attacks. Alright, we did it. We're on the scoreboard.
cards.
Most of the non-card game games I enjoy are single-player story-driven games, so I'm told God of War is very good for that. We're gonna finish Final Fantasy VII and Witcher 3 before we get to God of War, though. Part way into both of those. Elise, Kalista, Freljord, likely they who endure. Horizon Zero Dawn currently holds the title for best game I've ever played year to date. Big fan of Zero Dawn. Excited for the sequel to that one next year.
Slice their papers, now faces.
Yeah, Ghost is on my list too. If you look at the bottom of the stream queue on my website, there's a bunch of games listed there. I really like the Final Fantasy VII remake. It Transistor was definitely my favorite Supergiant game, and the combat in Final Fantasy VII remake reminds me a lot of Transistor in a good way. Where it's like this blend of like real-time and turn-based combat. Super happy to trade this off here. I'm gonna go ahead and rummage before we do. Get some mushrooms into their deck.
I've always been a fun guy.
Yeah, the Demon House or whatever it's called in Final Fantasy VII was crap, but the rest of it's been good. Okay, just open attack here for a couple points of damage. What was it? I think my full Horizon Zero Dawn playthrough, including the DLC, was about 39 hours. I also don't get sidetracked too hard in games like that. I'm pretty good at just focusing on the main storyline. So I think we just start loading puff caps up in their deck and then try and get the Hexacore Foundry going with that. So I'm going to play this and poke them with the Ignition. And then next turn, we can play the Chump Wump and get some Mushroom Clouds. So like, next turn we'll go Chump Wump, play Ignition. The following turn, we'll get to play some puff caps from this and really load some stuff up in their deck. See if they open attacks here or not. If they open attacks, I probably just chump the 4/3. Drawing a piece of burn like this is good. Blocks are still the same here. We chump the 4/3, trade with this, so we just like went parity on the board trades here. This is technically a bit of reach too. It could deal 1 to everything, which is nice. I don't think I want to trade this for the 4/3. Thanks, Bob. I try. Card game players care about the records that decks achieve in small sample sizes far too much. Wow, we're just not attacking with Kalista. Okay, I'm down for that. I guess I could have traded here. Yeah, I should have eaten this actually with the bot. I think that was a small mistake on my part. I should have eaten this. It's a jury rig. Okay, so yes, buddy. I think you should try a different Mario, because this one's very hard. Do you want to try Mario Odyssey? I have it right here. Okay. Why don't you take that one out in the living room or out in the basement? I think we just like load them up here and then try and kill them next turn with these, right? My opponent is notably, this is notably their They Who Endure turn. We're passing into their 7th turn, but at the same time, they really haven't had that many things die because I've mostly been taking hits here, and they haven't had things like Blighted Caretaker, so I don't think their They Who Endure is actually that large. Some Mario game from 2 decades ago. My children spend a lot of time watching other people play video games on the internet. It's kind of weird. I don't think anybody in chat could relate to that. So, Jacob recently started watching someone play some of the older Mario games, so he's wanted to try them himself. Which, by the way, as a tip for other parents, if you're someone who has children that enjoy watching other people play games on the internet, but you don't want your children going down a YouTube rabbit hole, and you obviously don't want them on Twitch, Amazon Prime has a bunch of kid-rated content creators playing video games, and they're sorted by Y and PG-13 and all of that, so you know there's not going to be random swearing and stuff in it. So, you get to dodge the YouTube algorithm, sucking them in and ending them up in an alt-right rabbit hole. Because if you watch anything on YouTube long enough, you probably end up in an alt-right rabbit hole. It's just, I know a lot of people, you know, myself included, we just, like, adult swear. So, like, even if we're trying not to, there's gonna be random swear words slipped in. So, the fact that there's a bunch of stuff up there, we don't have to worry about them randomly being a bunch of profanity is nice. Mr. Ben and Watch, I feel like I didn't say thank you for that, but it says 8 minutes ago. If I missed that, I apologize. It's gonna power up Zoe here. Feel like I just want to play Puff Cat Peddler.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
I'll have what he's having.
Oh, we're sacrificing Zoe.
Scouts are never
Deal.
afraid.
Would a mushroom help?
There.
Yes, Ren. If you take a complete step back out of politics and you like just read literature about how cults operate, and then you look at how the GOP and Trump specifically have operated for the last 4 years, even longer than that, honestly, even pre-Trump, it's very disturbing. I think I'm gonna do a 4th deck today. I'm not sure yet. We'll see where we're at in a half hour. I think I'm just playing Chump Wump here. I think I want to save the Twisted Fate to try and gold card this before it attacks.
I long for a worthy opponent.
You must be new here, Ashgard. Fuck off. We don't tolerate people that make really awful and terrible whataboutism comparisons to things like that. And for people that are wondering, Ashgard just compared Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist, because if you are anti-Antifa, that makes you a fascist, and you can fuck right on off if you support fascism. It's a really big are we the baddie moment when you realize that, like, opposing people who oppose fascism is not a good thing. Get out of here with your lazy whataboutisms and both sides is.
They grow up so fast.
think we're just making more mushrooms and then having decent open attacks next turn.
We got ways to farm in mushrooms.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
His open attacks in here isn't great because they probably have a bunch of different combat tricks, but it's like what we've got at this point. This technically trades into here.
Precision and grace. Two down.
Yeah, the whole being anti-Antifa in a lot of ways is comparable to, and the same types of people do these things, where they use SJW as an insult, where it's like, yes, you think that someone striving for social justice is a bad thing, and that tells me everything I need to know about you as a person, that you equate social justice with something being bad.
Portal me something cool. Danger noodle.
It's like, you should always give everyone a chance regardless of who they are, but when someone tells you the person that they are, you should believe them and hold them accountable for who they've told you that they are. BJ Forget. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for the entire year.
On guard.
So this technically isn't enough to kill Fiora, unfortunately. The question is, do I want to put more puff caps into their deck before this dies? I don't think so. So I think the plan here is hope they have nothing. We're gonna go ahead and Twisted Fate gold card this to deal a damage to her, and then Get Excited can technically finish her. Well, I guess they have a gem, so that's not true. Huh? We're probably dead here. They very likely have a single combat. Maybe I just salvage here, actually, instead of putting a cheap thing into play that they can target. Sure, but there's a very drastic difference between calling out the actions of specific individuals and not. Also, it's important to understand that, like, far-right ideologies do things like literally cause mass shootings based on their ideology, as opposed to, you know, Antifa and people at those rallies, people occasionally being assholes and rioting and smashing windows and stuff. Like, there's a big difference. We live in a late-stage capitalistic society where we put more value on a window being smashed than on human lives that are lost, and it's disgusting and wrong. The fact that we live in a place that, like, these things are people think that those things are remotely comparable is, this deck does not seem to have a reasonable Fiora matchup. It's very silly. Antifa supports terrorist fighting. Fuck off. I don't need your view. That's bullshit, and your bullshit isn't welcome here in my channel. Yeah, that too. Antifa isn't the Proud Boys. Antifa doesn't have a leader and doesn't have a formal organization. Antifa is the idea that fascism, far-right authoritarian rule from a political party, is wrong. That's what Antifa is. It's an idea. $43, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. For people that are new, we don't talk about politics constantly here, but when it comes up, I'm not afraid to tell it like it is. And in case you didn't know, we're aggressively progressive here. Thanks for the bits, Bill. The Deep, huh? Square Foundry's kind of funny in this matchup, huh? Hired Gun doesn't seem very good. I think I'm gonna mulligan looking for ways to enable Puffcap Peddler to put a bunch of mushrooms up in their deck. That's my new catchphrase, aggressively progressive, yeah. Maybe it was wrong to mulligan this and I want to play this to start. Yeah, let's actually do this and try and start beating them down.
Anything else?
Trump doesn't support socialism over military. Trump just supports things that are popular, and he wants people to like him, and he thinks advocating for $2,000 checks will get more of his base to like him. It's all a grift. I'm glad that his grift in this case has ended up being something that will actually help people, but it's a spade. Spade's a spade. Let's call it what it is. Like I'm glad that it's ended up being something. He's supporting something that's good. Like even if he's a fascist, like in this particular instance, he's done a good. A grift is like a con. So a grifter is like a con man or woman. There's someone that's trying to run something long term for their benefit primarily. Yes, people who are bad can occasionally do good things. Just like people who are good can occasionally do bad things. Life is shades of gray, and there should be nuance included in most discussions. Alright, what are we doing here? I think we're just playing the Sump Dredger, ditching the Ignition. There isn't really incentive to start aggressively putting Puff Caps into their deck just yet, because they're going to be tossing a bunch of cards. And this gives us pretty okay open attacks here before they can play a unit and make a thing with Maokai. Now, I think I want to put the bigger unit into play here to have a better open attacks rather than Twisted Fating there. Alright, with these blocks, I think we Mystic Shot this inside of combat. So that way they don't have a chance to make a thing with it. This does open me up to Vile Feast this before damage happens. Well, and actually, it's kind of funny, Obtuse Hobbit, because there's less ranting in when I play Runeterra in general, because one, I'm happier on average while playing Runeterra, but also two, Runeterra has less downtime than Magic has as a game. Like, if you think about the average game of Magic, there's a lot of waiting for your opponent to do stuff because the ropes are so long, whereas in Runeterra, the number of game actions you take and the amount of time you're waiting to get to play again is much lower. Alright, with double ignition generators here and Puffcat Peddler, we might be a-okay from here on out. That's unfortunate. So, they're only at 5 Puff Caps. They're at 12, though. So, I'm almost assuredly doing both of these this turn. The question is, what else am I doing with them? Actually, it might be right... It might be right to chump plus Hired Gun this turn. Okay, so I think the game plan here is actually Hired Gun, so that way this can pull this, and I can have another good open attacks next turn. I'm going to give up a point from an Ignition here, but without making mushrooms, it's a little bit less valuable. And I'm going to have 2 more Ignitions again next turn anyways. Yep, they're not quite ready to flush the toilet. They might toss enough that they get something out of this next turn. So this puts them to 4. Worth noting, my opponent's archetype can play things like Grasp and Whale, so they could have some life gain here. Sure, I agree that names aren't always what they state a lot of the time, but that's a lazy whataboutism to point out. That's a lazy whataboutism that doesn't apply in the case of Antifa. There aren't people out there committing acts of atrocity or doing things in the name of Antifa. It's just this lazy redirection that says, well, sometimes there's this corner case where this thing happens, then the name doesn't really apply. Even if that's not relevant in this case, you can't always say the name means what it means. Like, you can't define things based on the edge cases. You can't use the edge cases as your default for things. Alright, so scouts. No aftershocks in here might be wrong. We don't have a way to kill Plaza in this deck currently. I think I'm just starting with Zonite Urchin for early pressure here. And a mulligan for a jury rig. I think I'm gonna hold on to the extra get excited here, or the get excited here. Hopefully we find a way to generate some things that we don't mind discarding to it. You found a good home. And if you're someone that's one of my regulars, and if you're like Sephia there and you've got that sub-icon next to your name, and you want to talk about politics and other things with the community, in my Discord server we talk about Runeterra, news, politics, life in general, ton of great channels for a lot of different things. It's a great place to be able to pick my brain as well when I'm offline. I'm pretty active in the Discord server. Yeah, no, it's got much said. There's a reason why extreme outliers tend to be removed from datasets.
I deal in coins and carnage.
I think we're just taking the pass here. I don't really want to bump these two into each other.
Time to make some coin.
If we just bank that spell mana for down the line, we have plenty of spells. No, Thorium, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel.
There was a little fella asking for me.
Yeah, that's a good summary, Ghosted. Regardless of what Antifa is, when right-wing people say it, they're painting any progressive movement as part of an insidious, organized, violent organization, in spite of all evidence to the contrary. Twisted Fate's gold card next turn will be nice. We'll get to stun whatever they put into play off of and get Challenger with this. Fingers crossed they don't have a, they could have two things here, I suppose. I think I'm just gold carding here still.
Deal me in. Hold it, partner. Been quite a while, Sarah.
So serious. You're prettier when you smile.
That's very rude. That's very rude, Misfortune.
I shoot.
Easy.
If I block like this, red card kills both of these, right? That's the play.
My pretty.
Yeah, but that's the point, Army. Like, saying the Nazis were socialists, they weren't really socialists, right? They just used the title the same way the right in the United States assigns arbitrary meanings to, like, saying everyone is Antifa.
Be damned.
Yeah, Ranger Resolve wouldn't have been great there, but I don't really have a way to play around that. I think I'm just taking the opportunity to burn their mana. Nah, I probably gotta get my 2 points of damage in. They don't really want to play units anyways, they might just take the pass again. Yeah. It's worth getting the hit in there. Plaza discourages them from developing there. It's really unfortunate that Get Excited doesn't get to kill this while she's under Plaza.
I'm still on the yodeling uniform.
Da, 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 da.
Set sail.
Well, we can kill her with that now. The question is, do I want to spend a Get Excited killing this? I think I want to save the Get Excited to potentially go to the dome here. So I think I'd rather try and kill her with this. I think this is still okay for us. And honestly, are we? They don't have any mushrooms in their deck. It's probably right to rummage here rather than load them up with mushrooms.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
Okay, so now I need to murder her, right? Again to the lion, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Good afternoon.
Just like hunting thresher geese.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have discarded a mushroom or a salvage there instead so I could surprise Quinn inside of combat. Yeah, I think discarding the jury rig like I did there was actually very wrong. Because if I would have waited, I could have jury rigged as a surprise blocker here and killed this after that sequence that just happened.
Soldiers, to me.
Interesting. I think I have to do this first because if they have Sharp Sight, I get savaged otherwise. Like, it might be right to play this and then Mystic Shot this inside of combat, but then if they have Sharp Sight or another Resolve, I get in a lot of trouble.
Put on me mask, secure me tail, start the day.
We have a bunch of cards that draw cards at this point as opposed to playing to the board.
I am superior life form.
Well, that seems good for us.
Fall by my sword.
Okay, that also seems good for us. Okay. If we can avoid their units, their things that make 2 units. Well, poop. So if I do this, I don't overdraw. So let's start here, I think. Okay. Okay, we're cooking with gas.
Blessed is motion.
Proactive Rangers Resolve's a little scary. Yeah, alt-right strongmen being in charge of government is definitely not a uniquely US problem. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to cast the ignition or not yet. Because, like, I technically have, you know, this is like 6 points of damage here. I think I'm ditching it to this now, but there could have been incentive to, like, use that ignition to go to the dome there. And, like, this is going to 0 power this turn, and then this dies to Mystic Shot, so, like, we might not be just dead here yet. Oh, that's great. That's even better. So this lets me kill her without having to burn my breach. Because, like, I might kill them by just, like, burning them out here. I think it's right to try and save my unit here at this point. And this might be wrong, but I think it's correct to Hex Core Foundry next turn, or this turn. They've been very good at drawing their units that make 2 things here. Hitting those running is a little tough for us.
Two, three, four. Just like hunting thresher geese.
Oh, am I exactly dead? Yeah, I'm exactly dead to this, right? That's rough. So I can do this to trade here, and then I have this to shoot here, and then they get another attack with this because these are all scouts. Got two exports left over. Their last thing didn't have Challenger, so they didn't have lethal there, no. Let's try one more with this one. That is not an established archetype, Brad. Alright. Freljord Alliance. Yeah, this deck feels like it has a lot of the same problems that the SI Hexcore Foundry decks have, where you just, like, there's enough aggressive decks in the format that you just, like, don't want to play your key card to give them extra cards, then we just, like, keep having dead draws.
In Avarosa's name. Inferior design.
And I think we just open attacks next turn to get our chip shot in.
Prove perfection. Witness me.
Witness me.
The trap is set.
Witness perfection. Meatbags.
So I think the plan here now is we do this turn, which pumps these up. And then next turn, we play Puffcap Peddler and then double Ignition. So we can, like, get some damage, get some Puffcaps into their deck, and then have pretty big things to trade with whatever they deploy to the board.
Took the bait. Have a mushroom.
And I think we're just taking 6 inside of combat here.
Waiting.
Safety disengaged.
Duelist was like a card board game split, right? Like you had a deck of cards, but the way you played them out to a grid. If I recall.
Can you improve perfection?
I'm gonna open attacks here, actually.
Tread carefully.
I think pushing 3 points of damage here and trading these is a net positive for us. That's accurate, okay. I'm gonna do this and get a spell mana here, and then we'll Zaunite with this after. Maybe try and level Twisted Fate.
Blue as the serpentine.
Okay, yeah, and like, these are the types of cards we're looking for at this point, right? Like, I'm basically looking to just, like, punk them out as a burn deck at this point. Maybe they hit a mushroom or two. I'm gonna do this before we lose it, get some more puff caps into their deck. Twisted Fate is 3 cards now. That is a big angry Yeti, chat.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
That is another big angry Yeti. Well, oh no. Oh no. Well,
Success gets noticed around here.
and another one.
Medicine!
Not my first gunfight.
Easy.
FMALO, thank you for the 3/4 zero. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I think we block like this and go to 1. I don't think there's any cards in Freljord that kill us here.
Son of a...
No, they don't need to top deck 11 mushrooms. We've got 5 points of damage here, plus this rummage. We're gonna put some puff caps in their deck. They don't have a rally, so like we're gonna do some damage on our way out the door. We have a shot.
What will you have?
Oh no!
They grow up so fast. Leave your
Oh no! Healing is cheating, chat. Healing is cheating. Oh no, they had 30 puff caps and 30 cards, and they didn't draw any of them. So, this deck felt bad for a couple of different reasons. It felt bad in the same way the Hexacore SI decks felt bad, trying to put mushrooms into the opponent's deck. You just, like, spun your tires playing cards that didn't impact the board enough while you put some puff caps into their deck that then aren't enough to really race the opponent. And this deck felt bad, similar to how most Twisted Fate decks felt bad before Go Hard happened, where we had a bunch of card draw, but without, like, a pack the bags in our deck to, like, be drawing towards. It didn't feel like seeing all of those cards really had a big enough meaningful payoff. Hexacore Foundry was also just incredibly awkward. The original build-around submission with this was that, like, it kind of works to level Twisted Fate sooner, but you just, like, can't afford to play this card that doesn't cast for spell mana and doesn't play to the board, that also gives your aggro opponents more cards. So even in terms of, like, being able to level Twisted Fate, this card felt much worse than something like Pick a Card generally feels, I think. So overall, this idea just didn't work out. You know, they can't all be winners. I think it's really important to note that, like, and this is a good note for people that are new to card games, new to deck building, is that not every deck is a winner. For every good deck that gets built and ends up being competitive, there's dozens others like this one that get left on the cutting room floor and just don't seem like they're worth exploring. So I think this is definitely one that I would write off at this point. Should we do one more? I feel like we should do one more. Let's do one more. Let's wrap on a little bit more Runeterra today. One more. Let's do another Runeterra deck. What do I got? It's discard peaks, right? Did I put discard peaks on here? I didn't yet. I played Hecarim Nocturne. I have not.